Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Josh Peak. Today happens to be Saturday. What is it? Saturday, 26th? Oh, it's my brother and my sister's anniversary. My brother, well, sister in law. Happy anniversary, Alex and Michelle. Also, it's my uncle's birthday, Uncle Danny. Happy anniversary. Happy birthday, Uncle Danny. Um, I wasn't planning on talking about this. It's just popped in my head. My uncle, when I was a kid, was, to my eyes, the Incredible Hulk. He was a ginormous man because I was a little kid. And I remember he would come in and he would be loud and boisterous and he would laugh and it would fill the room. You could hear his laugh from outside the house. He was a jovial guy. He loved to tell jokes. He loved to be the center of attention. He loved to command attention. He was bigger than life in a lot of ways. And later on in life, I learned that he struggled with drugs and alcohol. Um, I don't know that he's ever really been comfortable about talking about it. And if you know him, you understand what I'm saying. If you don't know him, it doesn't matter. I'm just telling a random story about a random person. I could say allegedly. Allegedly, there was this guy, but is my uncle. Okay, and I watched him grow from a guy who I watched pick up a motorcycle and lift it over his head. Big hulking guy. I mean, hulking guy. Um, when I was a kid, he picked up my mom's little Honda Civic back in the 70-ish range, 79, 78, something like that, 1980, somewhere in that range. When they made him really, really tiny, he picked it up and put it in the back of his pickup truck, and he come in the house and he started telling my mom, hey, Deb, you got to quit parking your truck in the back of my, or parking your car in the back of my truck. I can't go nowhere with that thing back there. Or something about the wind. The wind blew that little tiny thing on the back of my truck, man. You got to get that out and come outside, and the vehicle's in the back of his truck. I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, he would pick it up and turn it sideways. And so instead of it being parked this way, it'd be parked this way. And I mean, he was just a big, strong, and he loved the joke. Like the joke was the bigger thing. He didn't care what it meant. He just wanted to get people to laugh. He told me lots of funny stories when I was growing up. He told me about working at Six Flags, um, going in there at night to do cleanup and stuff like that. And then they would ride the roller coasters all night. And a couple of times they filled up some of the water fountains with soap bubbles so that the soap bubbles got everywhere. And then kind of crazy stuff, Um, I remember one time he come home, in a really quick way. I don't know how to exactly say that the right way. He came home to my grandmother's. I was staying with her. He come running in the house and he says to her, "You ain't seen me." And he like drove his vehicle in the gate, closed the gate. They had these giant wolf-like dogs. I think they were part wolf. They were pretty wild. One they actually named Wolf. I think the other one I named Snoopy. Did not look like Snoopy at all. But we had these giant dogs there, and I remember this cop come up and he's pissed off and looking for him, and have you seen him? And my grandmother, I ain't seen that dude. She was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I mean, there's lots of crazy stories that involve my uncle, and you know, I can't help but look back at it and go, how much of that was just his personality, and how much of that was youth, and how much of that was possibly drugs and alcohol. I don't know. What I do know is that there was a time where he got clean and sober, and he, talked about it with me. He kind of wanted to let me know, yeah, this is something that's not good for me. Like everybody's a little different. Everybody's chemical reactions to this kind of stuff is different. And of course, that was a concern that my mom had, was that maybe the men in her family had this problem. I remember when I was younger, she would have a beer once in a while, but that was about it. I mean, just trying to be social and yeah, okay, I'll have a beer, whatever. Never a big drinker. And when I got older, she's like, "Hey, I'm concerned that maybe you have this gene, and I just want you to be able to avoid it." And growing up, luckily, I did not. Um, I do enjoy the occasional drink, but that's about it. I mean, I don't have any compulsion. I don't have any need. So I got lucky, I guess. I do have friends that do have this problem. And, you know, it's something that I realize a lot of people deal with. Now, to make matters worse, my uncle told me that because of his situation, that sometimes when he goes to the dentist, he tells him, I can't have any Novocaine. Like painkillers themselves will cause me to want to use. And so he would tell him no painkillers. He would take some Tylenol or ibuprofen or something like that, and he would just go, do what you got to do. And he would suffer it out. And I think in some way he felt that his suffering was somehow making amends for the things that he had done. And I don't know if that's his mentality. I've never really had a chance to talk about it with him in depth. The reason for that is because I was a young man when all this was happening. By the time I've gotten to the age now where I can have this kind of conversation, it's his birthday today, and I think my mom said he's 65, 60 something. I think he's 65. I, she told me. I'm sorry, Mom. I don't remember. A lot going on in my life right now. But there was a moment when we were building the house that I'm in right now. We've been in this house 13 years, and that's how I remember it. We were building this house. We had it framed up, and he had come up to visit. And I was really excited to show him my house. I was really excited to show him that I'd grown up, that I'd become this level of an adult. And I know everyone has a different thing that they say of, when they realize they were an adult. Um, some people it's getting their father's approval or getting their mother's approval or getting someone to acknowledge the fact that, you've made it, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the self-satisfaction of being able to own a piece of property or to have a view like you want. Maybe you end up in a place where you go, this is where I wanted to end up. I finally made it. And for some weird, satisfying thing, I wanted my uncle to see that I had made it. Not that I was necessarily looking for his approval, but I kind of did. And he came up and he looked around and he was pretty impressed with the way the guys were building the stuff. I was also looking to see if he understood what they were doing and if they were doing a decent job. I was sort of relying on his expertise to kind of tell me, does this look good? Just good? Am I doing okay? Now you got to understand, we grew up extremely poor, um, which is why I always have a difficult time hearing the news talk about how it seems, especially Democrats or liberals or whatever you want to call it, always classify white people as privileged. I get the fact that I am privileged in a way because this is a predominantly white country, and therefore I'm afforded opportunities that maybe a friend of mine who's black may not be able to get just because I look like I look and he looks like he looks. Nothing to do with our quality of person, nothing to do with any knowledge of me or him. They just treat him differently because he doesn't look like them. That's it. But other than that, I'm like, what privilege did I have? Now, I also have to accept the fact that I had privilege of family. I had privilege that I had lots of people supporting me. I had lots of people encouraging me. I had family on both sides of the family, that on my mom's side and my dad's side, that were supportive, that were like, you could do anything. Whatever you want to do, you can do. And in seeing success is a big part. Getting out of that is a big part, because you go, I don't want to worry about food. I don't want to worry about my house being repossessed. I don't want to worry about job security. There's things that were important. And I had this discussion with somebody yesterday at work, where you sort of have to fall on your face a few times before you realize what you're willing to put up with and what you're not. You have to struggle. That's one of the things I talked about in the last episode. Um, you sort of need that struggle in order to achieve a goal of conquering that struggle so that you get self-confidence. You need something to be hard so that you develop grit. You have to be resilient. That resiliency is priceless. Now, back to my uncle. My uncle was resilient. When he came here to visit, something was a little off. And that's how I remember the date. He's always been the guy that's been go, go, go. Let's do this. Let's have fun. Let's be loud. Let's be boisterous. Let's make jokes. Let's have a good time. Let's go out to eat. He was like a connoisseur of life. Like let's take it all in. What do you want to do? Let's do it. And when he came to visit, he just wasn't himself. Something was wrong. Matter of fact, we were looking around the house and even the way he was kind of looking around at things, you could tell something was bothering him really bad, and he didn't feel well. And he told her, he said, they had plans to do some stuff that day, and he was like, I think I want to go back and take a nap. And I mean, I remember taking a nap with him as a kid, but that was usually because he worked construction in the morning or worked on a tractor to do construction in the morning and then was physically wore out. And it's like, all right, let's take a nap. And we used to take a nap in front of a box fan with a giant pillow. He'd say, come here, lay beside me. We'll take a nap. And I mean, it wouldn't be long and I'd be passed out asleep. But this was different. And I found out why later. When he got home, apparently he just slept a lot while he was here. And when he got home, they took him to the doctor because they were like, something's not right. Even we were all commenting on it. Like, is he okay? Like something's off. They found out that he had a tumor in his brain. Not only did he have a tumor in his brain, but it was an unusual tumor, one they'd never seen before, a type they'd never seen before. It was basically growing like an octopus in all directions in the center of his brain, just touching everything, making everything start to fail. And this is the guy who said, I don't want painkillers because I don't want to revert to who I was. So he entered treatment with no painkillers. Every step of the way, every infusion, every milestone, everything that had to be done, the biopsy, I don't even think they biopsied. I don't think they could because of where it was at. It was so rare, they told him they wanted to name the thing after him. And he was like, no, I don't want you to name it. I want you to figure out how to solve this for somebody else because I'm not going to be the only one that gets this. If I die, crack my head open, study this thing, and figure out how to defeat it from somebody else. And he did treatment for a very long time. And during that treatment, because of his suffering, because of his hardship, because of the things he was going through, it changed him in a lot of ways. He got a lot more serious. He got a lot more quiet. He got a lot more reserved. And you can tell that he was really concerned about everything. What am I eating? What am I mean, obviously your concerns have to change. Your life has to change. Your job definitely changes because you can't do your job. You then rely on other people to do stuff for you a lot. He relied on his daughter, Rebecca. He relied on his wife, Denora. He relied on my mom. He relied on his other sister. I mean, family kind of had to come together and help figure out how are we going to help him? Because here was this guy that was bigger than life, stronger than life, could do anything, move mountains, walk into a crowded room and within seconds get everyone to immediately like him and want to do whatever he wanted to do. And now he's literally fighting for his life. And he fought this stuff for a long time. And there came a time where he eventually said, I don't want any more treatment. I'm sick of this. If this is God's will, then so be it. And it really made my mom angry because my mom is a healer. Her profession is to be a healer. And so by definition, that's who she is. And to her, that was admitting defeat. To her, that was there's more we can do. Like in her eyes, there's always more you can do. And this was a moment he was like, I don't care. I don't want to do this anymore. And it was hard, I'm sure, for him to say that, but also strong of him to say that. A lot of people count quitting as a weakness. And sometimes quitting is a strength. Sometimes saying enough is enough is what defines us. And so he said, enough is enough. And he prayed. He said, you want to help me? Pray. But I'm not doing this treatment anymore. And then a miracle happened. Then the cancer receded. It stopped growing. It just chilled out. He started doing some rehab stuff. He started being able to talk normally again. He started being able to walk normally again because this thing affected everything. It affected his speech. It affected his thought patterns. It affected the way he could move. He had to relearn how to walk, how to use his hands, how to do everything. And he eventually came back to a semblance of who he was. He actually went back to work, could drive. I mean, holy cow, that's amazing. Now, a lot of people will look at that and they'll say, that's got to be just a miracle all in itself. That's got to be due to the fact that he had all that medicine and maybe that medicine finally killed him. Oh, that's got to be because God did this. Oh, that's got to be because of prayer, because the power of prayer is so next level. And it could be all of the above. It could be one of those things. It could be anything. But because of my image of my uncle, I like to think it's because he said, enough. I've had enough. And if God took it over from there, great. Maybe it was prayer. Maybe it was the medicine. Maybe it was him saying, enough. I've had enough of this. Because in my mind, he's that bigger than life guy. He's that bigger than cancer guy. So happy birthday, Uncle Danny. I love you. That was kind of heavy. I didn't mean for that to be heavy. I wasn't even planning on talking about that. I just looked at the date and I was like, I know what day it is. Oh my God. This is stuff I heard. So let's talk about stuff I heard. But listening to more of Joe Rogan. I know you guys get sick of me talking about Joe Rogan interviewing Jenny Kleeman. I talked about during the last episode how that conversation really inspired me during that first 16 minutes. Well, obviously the podcast is longer than 16 minutes, so I kept listening. And eventually they got to a topic about veganism. Now, I will say that it's a very long podcast where over half of it is this woman, Jenny Kleeman, saying how she feels that eating meat is wrong and bad for you. And then she's like, but don't get me wrong, I still eat meat. But she keeps saying how it's just the worst thing ever. Eating meat is just the worst thing ever. And like Joe Rogan has done a lot of conversations with epidemiologists and scientists who talk about nutrition, and I guess you'd call them nutritionists, about the bioavailability of meat and how not everybody's physiology is the same. Some people can process dairy better. Some people can process meat better. Some people can process grains better. But in general, meat is not bad for you. Meat is actually essential for you. Meat is, that's how we progressed as humans. That's how we lived as humans. Are vegetables good? Sure. But it just takes a whole lot more vegetables to equal the same bioavailability of vitamins and nutrients you need to survive than you get from meat. And they both agreed at some point that factory farming is pretty terrible if you look at what it does to the animals and how the animals are treated, and how that marbling that you get on your steak that tastes so delicious is actually because the cow is extremely sick and they're feeding it a lot of things it shouldn't be eating. That's why the meat is so good, because it marbles it. It gives it a real fatty texture. Whereas if that cow was allowed to just eat grass-fed materials like it's meant to do, the meat isn't as fat. It has a different texture. It has a different look. Not as, you know, it's not as marbled. But the cow is healthier and happier. Now, there's a lot of arguments on the side of, is it okay to hunt? And I am not the expert on this. This is the stuff I heard podcast. This is the conversations that I hear. This is what I come to understand. Okay. Everything dies, people, animals, everything. Now, the way a lot of hunters look at hunting is I'm doing the most humane thing that I can do for that animal. I have a responsibility to kill that animal as quickly as possible so that it doesn't suffer. And then I'm going to use every bit of that as food because that's what that animal, that's the highest respect that that animal deserves, is to be fuel for my body or my family. And I understand that. That makes sense to me. Now, does it take away from the fact that I realize that not everybody can be hunters and not everybody can raise enough animals locally to butcher their own animals and stuff like that? No, I'm a realist. I realize that we live in an industrial world and that without factory farming, in some sense, that we're going to deal with a lot of famine. Now, there is some things that Miss Jenny Kleeman talks about that does make sense. We do get in a habit of eating way too much meat. We do get into a habit of, as children, being fed meat multiple times a day, whereas generally speaking, we should probably be only eating meat maybe one meal a day. That's probably the healthier approach. Me personally, I am a meat connoisseur. I eat meat way more than I should. I know that. Um, I've got to learn my boundaries of things that I consume. The crazy part for me to understand is that when I was younger, I could eat a bunch of garbage food and still not gain weight and still be active and still drink sugary sodas and all that stuff. But I'm sure a lot of that has to do with my physical exertion on a daily basis and the fact that I worked and played basketball every day and played in the pool as often as possible and was just very, very active. Plus, when you're younger, your metabolism tends to be a little bit faster. As you get older, you're a little more sediment. You tend to sit on the couch a little more. There's a way that I watch these shows, and it ain't sitting on a treadmill. I talk about these shows that I watch is because I'm sitting on the couch because I'm tired, worked all day, I'm physically exhausted. But I'm also not active when I'm sitting on the couch. Is that a good thing? Probably not. Probably not. I did fast forward the end of this because I got sick and tired of them arguing about whether or not you should eat meat. And I'm sorry, Miss Kleeman, I think you're wrong. I don't think it's bad to eat meat. I don't think that it's wrong. I don't think it's harming the planet. Um, if anything, we should factory farm differently. We should allow animals to have more room to roam. I realize that it doesn't make it profitable to do that in areas where a lot of this is going on because of the land mass needed. Now, she made a comment that there's not enough land mass to have animals roam and be able to feed them properly. I don't think she's been anywhere but big cities. If you go outside any big city, you're going to see a lot of land where there's nothing going on. Matter of fact, I've said this more than once. I've heard it on podcasts. They've talked about the population, quote unquote, overgrowth of the world, and that the size of Alaska alone could fit every human in a single cell, in a single dwelling home in the state of Alaska comfortably. We're not in a lack of land. We're in a lack of knowledge of how to use that land properly. There is plenty of land. So, Jenny, you may be really intelligent with a lot of things, but I'm sorry, you're not thinking this through the right way. I like the fact that Joe talked to her about she should start her own podcast. She is a very intelligent person. She's easy to talk to, except when she's talking about meat because she's an idiot. Um, she's not an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm using words that doesn't mean what it means because I lack the words I want to say. That's what I got to get. See, I'm trying to have personal growth. I'm trying to make myself realize that there's other ways to have conversations and I need to choose my words better. We could all do that. You're not an idiot, Jenny. I think your argument about meat is incorrect. There. That sounded better, right? I had to, become a bigger guy here and make my brain go, you could do it, man. Just say the right thing. I don't know if that was the right thing or not, but It's worth a shot, right? I think she's wrong. There. That's my opinion. I think she's wrong. I do like all the science fiction-y stuff with the androids and the robots and the sex and the growing humans outside the womb and what it means in likes of empathy and all that stuff. That's very interesting. I could talk about that kind of stuff for a very long time. The veganism, nah, not so much. Now, maybe I'm limited because I'm in South Carolina and not in California or New York, where it's a lot more acceptable to be vegan and there's a lot more restaurants that cater to veganism and stuff like that. I know that when I used to live in Southern California, it was a lot easier to get really cool foods that you don't normally get other places. If you're here in South Carolina, you tend to gravitate towards what society is eating. Me personally, I talk about having a pellet grill a lot. I talk about cooking meat on it a lot. I eat meat off of it a lot. I'm not telling you about my new vegan recipe of how I figured out how to make cauliflower taste like rice, or how eggplant can kind of taste like a hamburger if you season it the right way. Although I know it can do that because I've watched my dad eat one up in Maine. I know that stuff is possible. I don't want it though. But if I lived in a society where that was happening more, then maybe that would be the acceptable thing. Maybe that would be easier. Maybe that conversation would be easier. Maybe it would be more socially acceptable to go, hey, you know, I'm going to eat a vegetable based dinner. And then on Tuesday, we're going to have steaks. I mean, maybe that conversation should be happening. Maybe. All I know is I got a phone call last night from my stepdad saying that Piggly Wiggly had ribeyes on sale for $5 a pound. And even though I bought 2 rib loins when it was on sale for $7 a pound during Labor Day, I'm thinking to myself, hey, here's an opportunity to save some money. Let's go get some more rib loin. Now, did that $5 a pound mean that factory farming took place and that animal probably suffered so that I could have some delicious steaks? Yeah, probably. Is it going to dissuade me? No, not at all. Yum, yum, yum. Thank you, animal. I love you. You taste great. Hey, it is what it is. So, right now, I'm sure there's any vegans out there that are losing their mind. I don't think I have any vegan listeners. Are any of you vegan? I asked my wife that one time because when we started dating, I invited her over to have lasagna. I cooked lasagna for our first date, and well, not first date. The first time she was over at my house, I made lasagna, and I was like, "Hey, come over, I'm making lasagna." Just before she went to eat, I went, "You're not vegan, are you?" Because I thought, "Oh crap." I never thought about the fact that there are girls out there that are vegan. It was a lifestyle thing. So it was worth asking about. And the first thing she said was, "Do I look vegan to you?" And I was like, "I don't know. What are they supposed to look like?" I mean, I'd been on a couple of dates and one girl had told me she was vegan and I was like, "Okay." There's a joke there that I'm not really sure I can say because my mom listens to this. Anyway, if you know me, you know the joke already. If you want to know the joke, ask me about it later. So yeah, my wife is not vegan. God bless her. So let's talk about some other stuff I heard. Okay, I listened to Time Suck, an episode where he talks about a new podcast that he's coming out with. You know, he has 4 podcasts. It's pretty amazing. That's a lot of talking to have. I don't know if I could do 4. I do feel like I could do one more if I wasn't doing this schedule that I'm doing now. Like if I limited this to 1 a week, I could probably do another one with somebody like a team up kind of deal. Or if I didn't have like a real job, like I mean, Dan Cummins is a comedian, so right now they're not working. So doing 4 podcasts a week is probably easy for him to do because he's like, yeah, well, what else am I going to do? I can't go on tour. I mean, unless I'm like Bert Kreischer and do the movie theater, the drive-in movie theater tour. I mean, some comedians are doing that. I just saw an advertisement for Donnell Rawlings doing it. Nate Bargatze's doing it. A few of them are trying it out. They're like, hey, why not? Let's give it a shot. It seems to work for Bert just fine. Which he's open about the fact of, hey, we figured out how to do it right. We're socially distancing. We're staying safe and blah, blah, blah. And if you guys want to do it, I'll tell you everything about it. But there's a way to make this work that is beneficial to everybody. And I'm ready for things to get back to some kind of normalcy. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of everybody acting so paranoid. And also, there's the reality that people are still dying from it. I mean, one of my wife's good friends, her mother just passed away of it. Now, her mother also just got over battling cancer. And is that a contributing factor? Probably. Is the fact that she's older a contributing factor? Probably. There's a lot of contributing factors to there other than the fact of she got COVID. Okay. Does it take away from any of the fact that this still sucks for her? No, it does not. And I am sorry for your loss. But we got to get back to some kind of normalcy. I'm just saying, I'm tired of people acting like it's a big deal for them to sit on their butts. Like I hear a lot of people, whining about, I'm just so tired of this. I want to go back to, and I'm thinking, wait, these people that are the most vocal about it are the ones who are doing the least. Like a lot of these are celebrities who literally are sitting on their butts. What, you're tired of texting? You're tired of sending out tweets every day about how enraged you are about politics? You're tired of giving your opinion about, really? That's your big gripe? I'm tired of it because the longer we stay like this, the more separated we get from one another. I have a connection to a lot of people. I want to continue those connections. I want other people to experience those connections. I want my kids to be able to say, yeah, I got to hang out with my friends today and we learned about so and so and we got to spend time with them and share in their journey of life, their birth, their death, their whatever, their anniversary. So while we're limited on this, while we're in this period, here's an open invitation. If you're stuck inside, wherever you're at, and you want to be part of this podcast, let me know. Reach out to me. I got a website, www.stuffiheard.com. I can't believe I got to say www. That should be like normal. There's a contact page on there. Let me know. It goes to my email. I got a Facebook page. It's all about this podcast. I've got Instagram, Twitter, you name it. Let me know what you want to talk about, and let's talk about it. Let's build our community. What are you afraid of? I'm not going to do anything to make you feel like a fool. If anything, I like to make myself the butt of the joke because I can take it. I don't care. I'm a grown man. I know who I am. So let's have fun. Let's grow our community. Let's do it. I put down notes. I'm trying to read what I wrote here. Oh, new episode of The Boys. Watched it. Really good. Very interesting twist. New information is out. Really cool character development. I'm enjoying it. I can't really talk about it because people are still watching it or they're getting ready to watch it. Also, 2 new episodes of Raised by Wolves. Really interesting story, the way it's changed. There's a new development with one of the androids, the mother android. There's a new development that is really, really interesting. I don't know how it happened. I don't know the explanation. She doesn't know the explanation. I'm sure we'll learn along the way what happened. But in the meanwhile, it makes for really good TV. It's thought-provoking. It's so far out of the realm. There's other elements that are involved that are still mysterious that makes you kind of curious and want to see what's happening. I also watched a movie last night. I don't know how I stayed awake that late, but I got really interested in this because I saw the advertisement for it. It's called, I got to see how it's pronounced. I wrote down the thing here. Elona Holmes. Elona, which is backwards for alone. Elona. So she's supposed to be Sherlock Holmes's sister. Mycroft and Sherlock are her brothers. in the show, she's played by Miley Bobby Brown, who is the girl who plays 11 on Stranger Things. Yeah. And she's 16 years old. I looked it up on Google, and she's great in this. Really great. Really smart girl. She does some jujitsu. It's pretty impressive. It's done a lot like Sherlock Holmes has done when Robert Downey Jr. played it. Very breaking the thing down. This is how this moves. This is how that moves. This is how, what I see. Connecting the dots. It's all of those things that you would want from a Sherlock Holmes type series. And she's fantastic in it. I hope they do more of these. She's really good. Plus, in this, her mom is played by Helen Bonham Carter, and her brother Sherlock. I don't know who the other brother's Mycroft. He's like the government guy that he works for the government. Anyway, Sherlock is played by Henry Cavill, which is Superman. You guys remember, from the DC series they just did the revamp of, and he's also The Witcher. He's good as Sherlock. I mean, it's a good character, good guy to play that. But yeah, so check it out. It's very cool. It's very fun. I think it's like 2 hours long, but it's worth it. It's so much fun. There are some UFC fights tonight. Stylebenders fighting tonight. It's the big main event. My sleep has got to be all over the place for the next couple of days because I want to stay up to watch this fight, and then I have to be in bed super, super, super early tomorrow because I got to be awake at like 1 a.m. on Monday to go to work. Yeah, I know. I'm not thrilled about it either. But hey, it is what it is. So that's it. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this. If you guys don't hear it anywhere else, I love you. I appreciate you. I want you to be part of this. I want you to grow with me. I want you to start your own podcast. I want you to be doing your own thing. I want us to build a community where we get to share information and knowledge and grow and sort of challenge each other and share our accomplishments and stuff like that. Why not, right? We could do it. By the way, on my YouTube, Joshua Peak, you guys can see me there doing lots of fun stuff. I'm right at 5,000 subscribers. It's a milestone for me. It's kind of a big deal. I've been doing this for 9 years. I just saw an update on my Facebook saying 9 years ago, and it had a picture of me driving the Rambler back from Maine to South Carolina with my wife's little pink GPS up on the dash telling me how fast I'm going because the speedometer wasn't working. It was doing this thing with the needle. And I was like, that's cool. 9 years ago. Thanks, Dad. Thank you for getting me started on YouTube and for the car and for being my dad. So that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Everything starts somewhere, right? So start now. I'm sure I'll have an advertisement in this thing somewhere saying something about Anchor. Go to anchor.fm. Look at it on your computer. If you've got a phone, I'm sure most people do, look up the little app, ANCHOR, little purple icon. All you got to do is tap it, make the name of your podcast, and start. Thanks, everybody. Y'all take care. And as always, cue the cow.
So I want you guys to give me more likes.